النفس التي حرم الله إلا بالحق ولا يقتلون النفس التي حرم الله إلا بالحق ولا يزنون ومن يفعل ذلك يلقى أثاما يضاعف له العذاب يوم القيامة ويخلد فيه مهانا.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده وعلى آله وأصحابه كما أراد. In the world we have many different types of people. We have some abnormal people, we have some normal people, we have some crazy, we have some hyper. We have various different types of people throughout the world. And it is up to us to decide who we want to be. Ultimately, on your grave, it will be written what type of person you were. And how you will be remembered will depend upon your own actions and what you were during your lifetime. Similarly, in the dunya, there are those who are the abid, those who do not know or worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the level above that is the ibad of Allah Azza wa Jal. Those are the servants, but perhaps not necessarily the most active, the most proficient and the most sincere. And the third level above that is the Ebaadur-Rahmaan, the sincere, loving, caring, humble, internally and externally, servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For everything in this dunya is operating because of the rahmah of Allah Azza wa Jal. So if we want to be recognized and we want to be truly successful, then we not just need to be Abdullah or Ibadullah, but we need to be something a bit above beyond, which is Ebaadur-Rahmaan, the true merciful servants of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Alhamdulillah, we have been on this beautiful journey thus far and learning about their beautiful characteristics. And last week we looked at the things that the Ebaadur-Rahmaan do not do. And one of the first and most important things is that they do not commit shirk. They do not give in or adulterate or mix their aqidah, their iman, their belief whatsoever. They have this pure monotheistic belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whenever they ask, إِذَا سَأَلْتَ فَاسْأَلِ اللَّهِ, they only ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? He is the all-living, He is the all-seeing, He is the all-capable, and He is the only one who can give you whatever you need. Nobody in this world can say, come and ask me and I will give you this. It is only through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And وَإِذَا اسْتَعَنْتَ, whenever they seek the assistance or help, it is always through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, we sing this naat, Allahi Allah kiya karo. These Ebaadur-Rahmaan are truly those people who do Allahi Allah. Because they know, فَسَيَكْفِيكَهُمُ اللَّهِ, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sufficient for them in every single aspect of their lives. وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ وَكِيلًا وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ حَسِيبًا, that Allah is enough for them as a hasib, as a one who accounts for everything. Allah is enough for them in every single facet of their lives. So these are the Ebaadur-Rahmaan who maintain and protect their pure belief. They don't do major shirk, which we discussed, and neither do they do any minor form of shirk as well. Because what is the only one thing that will get us into Jannah? It is La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Everything else is afterwards. If you don't have this one thing, nothing else matters. The non-Muslims, they can give sadaqat, khairat, and do everything in the dunya, read the Quran and whatnot. If they do not have La ilaha illallah, they will never enter into Jannah. So we need to protect our iman, protect our faith from all of these things. And we learned previously that the greatest zulm that we can do against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is associate a partner with Allah Azza wa Jal. May Allah protect us all from all of those things. Ameen. So carry on, inshallah, the things that Ebaadur-Rahmaan do not do. The first thing, they do not commit shirk in any form whatsoever. The second thing that Allah Azza wa Jal, وَلَا يَقْتُلُونَ النَّفْسَ الَّتِي حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ إِلَّا بِالْحَقِّ وَلَا يَزْنُونَ. Neither do they kill any other soul, or by default harm any other soul. Okay? Except for their right, when obviously you're in a state of war, or if you're defending yourself. No. Other than that, they don't do that. We don't harm or cause chaos or disruption or fitna or fasad anywhere we go. Why? Wherever we go, we walk humbly, we talk in a dignified manner, we look down and we engage, and we do all of those things in the best of manners. So we do not kill a soul or harm a soul in any manner whatsoever, neither do we commit adultery in any form or fashion. But if you look at the society that we are living in, and similarly the society at the time that this verse was revealed, that at that time, and more so now, these things were prevalent. In Makkah and Medina, what was there? Shirk everywhere. Inside the Kaaba, shirk. Around the Kaaba, shirk. Around Arabia, shirk, shirk, shirk. And now even in the world that we live in, look at other religions, full of shirk. Minor and major forms of shirk. And unfortunately within our faith as well, we do have some minor and major forms of shirk as well, and we need to challenge those, and we need to correct those to make sure these do not occur within our own personal lives. So shirk, we need to protect ourselves. It's prevalent in that society as it is in this society. And similarly, killing was prevalent at that time. They would have wars with tribes, with families for hundreds of years. You kill my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, so I'm going to kill X, Y, and Z. Or dushmani, animosity and violence and hatred towards another family or individual, and they carried on that. Just look at our own culture in Pakistan or other cultures. Go there. If you've had dushmani, it'll be in your blood. It'll be in your khandan that we've got dushmani and we're going to keep that dushmani no matter what. Oh, they harmed us, we harmed them. They killed us and we killed them. So we see this even now. Shirk prevalent in our era. Killing prevalent in our era. Just look around. The wars, all the wars that have happened, whether it's the first or the second, all the wars that have happened in the Middle East, in Asia, in Europe. Constantly we're surrounded by utter destruction and killing. Look at the drones that are taking place all throughout the world. Indiscriminate amount of killing. The shooting that takes place throughout the world, especially in America. The mass shootings that are taking place there. The mass murders or the riots or the civil unrest that are taking place. All of this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that Ebaadur-Rahmaan, they do not harm other individuals. They do not go to even killing, let alone harm. They don't kill or harm any other individual. So we are individuals who are at peace within ourselves. These people who go out and kill, you can tell from their behavior that they're not happy. They're not content within themselves. But Ebaadur-Rahmaan, we are at peace internally, and that's why when even people say things, when they instigate things, or when they do things, we smile like the Prophet and we walk away and we say salam. How many times did they try to assassinate or harm or hurt and strangle the Prophet ﷺ in Mecca and in the wars in Medina? Did you see him going on a killing spree and just killing whoever he wanted? No, when he went to Fath Makkah, he forgave the majority of people. When he was there, his enemies, he forgave them. This is our trait. So we need to look within ourselves as well, that people will, your own perhaps siblings, your own family, your friends, your neighbor, they'll push those buttons all the time. And they will want you to react. But being Ebaadur-Rahmaan, we need to be above that, because we're not looking at them, we're looking at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We were looking at how Allah wants us to react. We want to see how the Prophet ﷺ would react in those particular situations. So Ebaadur-Rahmaan, this is one important thing. We do not cause any harm. It's emotional, physical, financial, mental. We don't cause any form of these harms. Don't do this, and we certainly do never go towards killing another individual. Why? The Quran is very, very explicit that وَمَن يَقْتُلْ مُؤْمِنًا مُتَعَمِّدًا فَجَزَاؤُهُ جَهَنَّمْ خالدا فيها وغضب الله عليه ولعنه وأعد له عذابا عظيما. When you kill another individual deliberately, obviously you know that you don't get on with that individual. You know that it's going to end up in X, Y, and Z. You don't remove yourself from the situation, from the equation. You carry on. मैं भी तेनू देख लेना, बड़ा बड़ा है, and this and that, and I'll see you, and my khandan, the context I've got. Allah saying, if you kill another person, especially a Muslim, متعمدا, deliberately, willfully, intentionally, فجزاؤه جهنم, then that your jaza is Jahannam. And not just Jahannam, but go in Jahannam and that's it. خالدا فيها, you'll remain therein forever. Is Allah saying it? Not any other individual. Ahkamul Hakimin, the judge is saying, you will be in hell forever. Is it worth killing that individual? Is it worth harming that individual or causing them so much suffering and pain? It's not. 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, or whatever nuqsan that they've done financially, emotionally, it's not worth being punished for eternity in the fire of hell. And it doesn't stop there. وَغَضِبَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is angry upon that individual. Normally when the judge sentences you, they just sentence you and that's it. They don't care, they don't know or really care about you, that's it. They don't have any wusa, any emotional connection. Allah has sentenced you and He is angry with you. If He's angry with you, do you think He's going to forgive you? Do you think He's going to say, Chalo, theek hai, now you can get out of Jahannam after 1,000,000 years or 1,000,000,000 years? No. وَغَضِبَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَلَعَنَهُ. Not only is the ghadab of Allah upon you, the la'nat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is upon you as well. وَأَعَدَّ لَهُ عَذَابًا عَظِيمًا. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself prepares a severe punishment for you. Himself, Allah. أَعَدَّ لَهُ عَذَابًا عَظِيمًا. A great punishment for you, not even a small punishment for you. So put this in your mind. Doesn't matter what qawm you're from, doesn't matter what tribe you're from, doesn't matter what nation, whoever you are, powerful or rich or poor, no one has the right to kill in Islam. If the state declares war, just like the UK, you can't just go around and kill somebody. The state, the king, the queen, the state, the prime minister will declare war. Then when you're in a state of war and you're in combat, that's a different scenario. Other than that, we're in a state of peace. We cannot go and take the Qanun, the Sharia in our own hands. These other ISIS or Daesh, all these other people are going around taking the Sharia into their hands. They can't. What is for them? Jahannam, khalidan fiha, wa ghadiba Allahu alayhi wa la'anahu wa adda lahu azaban azima. Killing an individual is like killing an entire humanity, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is saying Ebaadur-Rahmaan, they are always in control of their actions and their emotions and how they interact with other individuals. But when shirk is prevalent and when killing is prevalent and when zina is prevalent, you will see the destruction of society. Why did Islam flourish? Because it removed shirk. Why did Islam flourish? It removed unjust killing. Why did Islam flourish? It removed fornication and adultery. That's why Islam spread throughout the world. Why did so many people accept Islam and come to Islam? Because they saw, these are pure people, sincere people, humble people. They don't harm me. They don't do beimani or dhoka or anything. They don't cause any physical harm to me. They are not unjust and they do not fornicate. These people are nice people. Let's become Muslims. But when you see Muslims killing Muslims, when you see Muslims do shirk, when you see Muslims do zina and fornication, why would a non-Muslim come to Islam? It doesn't make sense. When you don't buy and do believe in what you are selling, why would they buy it off you? Yeah? So like saying, buy this sweet, buy this sweet. You eat it yourself. No, I don't like it. Nobody's going to buy that off you. You need to love your religion and practice your religion. Practice your iman, strengthen your iman, practice your hands and control your hands. The Prophet ﷺ mentions that the best person is he whom other people are safe from min lisanihi wa yadihi. That other people, he didn't say the Muslims, other people are safe from his hands and from his tongues. Now ask yourselves how much our tongues work. Our tongues work overtime. We clock in and clock out with our hands because body gets tired. Our zaban never gets tired. We'll always make sure we've got a torment, a tana, and a buhtan, and a slander, and everything ready. Bara daya, bara ye, bara wo. I know him, I know his ragaraga, this X, Y, Z. We've always got something to say to damage other people. So the Prophet ﷺ said, the best person to any other individual, the best Muslim is he whom others are safe from his hands and from his zaban. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions explicitly in Hadith Qudsi that I have made zulm upon myself forbidden. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't do zulm. وَلَا يَزْلِمُ رَبُّكَ أَحَدًا. Whether you are Muslim or non-Muslim, Allah doesn't do zulm upon you. Your hisab, kitab, and your grave and your akhirah will be there for you. That's it. But Allah doesn't do zulm upon any other individual. If Allah has made it forbidden upon Himself, Who are we to go and do zulm? The hadith continues to say, I have made zulm forbidden upon myself, therefore my servants do not do zulm onto any other individual. Zulm doesn't just mean killing. Zulm encompasses every single aspect of doing zulm to other people, tormenting them emotionally, physically, mentally, financially, controlling them and manipulating the situation and saying, what are you going to do, how are you going to escape, X, Y, and Z. Whether it is your children, whether it's your parents, whether it's your employer or your wife or spouse or anybody else, all forms of zulm have been forbidden by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and therefore we should not do any zulm. Look at our deen. We are now preparing for what season? The greatest season of Islam, the season of Hajj. When you go on Hajj, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala command? فَلَا رَفَسَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ. That in Hajj or during Hajj, you're not allowed to bicker and fight and dispute and hurt or kill anybody in any way whatsoever. Not to any living thing. You can't take a branch and break it. You can't even kill an ant. You can't even kill a mosquito. You can't even harm another individual, even pull out your own living hair on your own body. You can't do that. Allah saying, if you don't do that in Hajj, you don't do that outside of Hajj either. In Salah, when we stand shoulder to shoulder and we respect and we say to our brothers on our right and our left, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Why is it outside we're saying Fulana and this and that? What kind of Salah have you just read? Who are you deceiving? What kind of hypocrite are you? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that Muslims, they do not do any form of injustice. They do not do zulm, and especially they don't go to killing whatsoever. And by default, you don't do any of the things that lead up towards killing. Killing is an extreme thing in Islam. So that's the first thing I want to share with you today in terms of what Ebaadur-Rahmaan do not do. They do not do shirk and neither do not kill whatsoever. وَلَا يَقْتُلُونَ النَّفْسَ الَّتِي حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ إِلَّا بِالْحَقِّ. What does it mean here? إِلَّا بِالْحَقِّ. That when somebody has wronged you or harmed you, you take it to the court, you take it to the qadi, you take it to the judge, and you have your witnesses, you have everything, and then the qadi of Islam, they do and stipulate everything, not you. They do the had, they do the punishment, not you. And if he gets away with it, then you have to always remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most just. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will do divine justice on the day of Qiyamah. You will not be wronged. You can be wronged by the dunya, even by your own Muslims, but you can never be wronged by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On the day of Qiyamah, that justice will be done. And that is the best justice. Why? Because the justice in the dunya is still not satisfactory. The justice on the day of Qiyamah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make you content. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will satisfy you. All of your bad deeds will go to that individual. All of his good deeds will come to you. And the punishment will go to him as well. That justice will always be served. So never despair. Never force yourself in a situation where you end up harming another individual, especially killing another individual. Ebaadur-Rahmaan, don't do that. The next thing in this particular verse, the third thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, وَلَا يَزْنُونَ. After, وَلَا يَقْتُلُونَ النَّفْسَ الَّتِي حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ إِلَّا بِالْحَقِّ. وَلَا يَزْنُونَ. Ebaadur-Rahmaan, they do not do any form of adultery and any form of fornication. And this is, as I mentioned, the three things were prevalent in times of the Prophet. And if this continues in our time, we will be completely and utterly destroyed. Shirk and qatl and zina. These are three major sins, not minor. Major sins. For shirk, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions explicitly in the Quran that إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَن يُشْرَكَ بِهِ وَيَغْفِرُ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَن يَشَاءُ. Allah will forgive everything potentially. He will forgive everything that you do, but He will never forgive shirk. And similarly with qisas as well. If you kill somebody, that family or parent may forgive you, but on the day of Qiyamah, you will not necessarily be forgiven. And then the zina as well. And again, if you look in our society as well, especially in the UK and in Europe and in Africa and all throughout the world as well, zina is everywhere. In terms of the relationships that people are having, oh, I'm just going out with them. I'm just trying to build a relationship around to X, Y. We always have so many excuses to justify and blur the lines. But it always inevitably ends up, to majority of the times, towards sleeping with that individual. And you have so much gonorrhea, You have so much chlamydia, you have so much STI, you have so much STDs, have so much HIV in Africa and in the UK, so many pregnancies, but people are dropping their pregnancy or aborting their children or giving their children away. So many problems are there in society because people are not controlling themselves. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a way of life. This is how you live with your iman. This is how you live with other individuals and you don't harm them. This is how you live and you protect yourself and your private parts and you interact with the other individual. This is how you live. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly mentioned, قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ وَيَحْفُظُوا فُرُوجَهُمْ. That tell, instruct, command the believing men. And in another verse, قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ. That tell the women as well, command them to lower their gaze. We don't. The phone's there, we'll look and then we'll zoom and zoom and zoom and swipe and check every single curve. Check every kapra, every style, what is see-through, what's not. We'll do all of those things. We're going in the bazaar and they say, people have said to me, pehli nazar jaiz hai, dusri nazar nahi jaiz. So they just keep fixated on the first nazar all the way till she goes to Birmingham. What's this? It's a joke. Do you think you can deceive Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Pehli nazar, which is accidental. That's it. After you've seen it, you lower it. That doesn't mean you carry on and that's it. This is a loophole. There's no loopholes with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who are you trying to deceive? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that if you want to protect your heart and your soul, your body, you want to protect your family and society and the world, protect your iman, don't do shirk. Protect each other from your hands and your lisan, and then lower your gaze and protect your private parts. If these three things are not protected, you'll have utter chaos and destruction in society. Look at now the children who are born from adultery, born from fornication. Look at all of these children and look at how it's having such a huge impact on society. Na baap, na ma, no mother, no father. Who's going to do their tarbiyah? Who's going to do their upbringing? What's going to happen? Then family breaks down, the nucleus breaks down, society breaks down, the whole community has a knock-on effect because nobody is guiding them on stability. Go to all of these schools and you see so many kids are full of anger and frustration because they don't have a mother figure or a father figure. They're going from one home to another. Or just look at the individuals who are doing so much and their personal health and how they are suffering with all of these diseases. قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ. So tell the believing men, command them for your bhala, for your khair, for your success, for your akhirat, lower your gaze, and the women, and protect and guard your private parts. Guard your chastity. This is very, very important. Ask the buzurgs, after a certain age, that shahwa, that lust, that desire just goes. And then you reflect back on your life and you think, why did I waste myself and do so much sex and so much zina and so much adultery with all of these individuals? What is it? 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of enjoyment and that's it? And after that, it's just regret and just hollowness. And you think, what was the point of all of that? You may have enjoyed it for that moment. You will not certainly enjoy it for thousands and perhaps millions of years in your grave. And you will certainly not enjoy it on the day of Qiyamah. And we know the punishment that is waiting there on the day of Qiyamah for those people who have done zina with their eyes or with their hands or with their feet, and the biggest zina with their private parts. And the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is that no adulterer, one who commits adultery. So there's a difference. You need to understand that adultery is when you sleep with somebody who's already married. That is adultery. Okay? Fornication is when you sleep with somebody who is not married. Okay? So there's different hads, a different punishment. Punishment for those people who are fornicating, lashes. Punishment for adultery is stoning by death in the Sharia. But again, there's certain rules and regulations. Nobody can just go and say, I'm going to stone you to death. There has to be 4 witnesses, eyewitnesses, live witnesses, and all of their testimonies have to match exactly. There cannot be any discrepancy or, whatsoever, or doubt whatsoever in their discrepancy. It was done in a public place and it was done and they saw the penetration. Then all those witnesses go and give their statement and it goes to the judge. All of those things, when there's no doubt whatsoever, then the had is then taken. Again, there's so many other elements to consider as well. But the Prophet ﷺ mentions that no adulterer is a believer at the time when he's committing adultery. What does that mean? That when you're doing zina, adultery zina, or fornicating, your iman is taken away from you. You're no longer a Muslim. Allah doesn't consider you a Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ doesn't consider you to a Muslim anymore. And if you die after that, where will you end up? There's only one place. After zina, ask yourselves, people who have done it, those who have done adultery or fornication, after zina, did they repeat La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah? Did they do tawbah and istighfar? And if they didn't, ask yourselves, where is your iman? Because the Prophet has clearly mentioned that La yazni zani wa huwa yazni wa huwa mu'min, that when he is doing zina, he is not a mu'min. His iman is taken away from him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran very explicitly mentions, Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu idha ja'aka al-mu'minat yubayi'naka ala an la yushrikna billahi wa la yasriqna wa la yaznina wa la yaqtulna awladahunna wa la ya'tina, all the way to the end. That when believing women come to you to give you bay'ah, what does it mean? That we want to follow you, follow the Rasul, follow the Sharia, follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then make them take this pledge that they will never associate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not these other people who say, I'll give you a bacha, I'll come here and I'll do this and I'll do that for you. No shirk whatsoever. And they will not steal, وَلَا يَسْرِقْنَا وَلَا يَزْنِينَ, and they will not do any illegal sexual intercourse, not do zina, not do fornicate, and they will not kill their children. Only when they accept all of these conditions, then accept their pledge. Warna, no pledge, no contract, no acceptance, nothing. They can stay and do whatever they want. But how many of us are just falling into this, all the time and just doing zina? Zina not just of the private parts, but zina of the hands and the eyes and the ears. There are various degrees of zina. Degrees, zina of the hand. Zina of even the smell. When you smell something and she walks past you, or he walks past you, and after smelling it, you just have to turn. You have to turn. And you just look. And then that's the zina of the nose, and it leads to the eyes, and the eyes are connected to the heart. And then when she goes into the heart, or he goes into the heart, that will lead to infatuation, and you want to follow, you want to know her name, where she lives, what she does, and then it's just a downhill. So protecting all of these faculties is so, so important. And when we have these intentions that, I'm only doing it to find out who she is, we have to be very careful, because then again, Sharia said, fine, get your parents involved. Get your siblings involved, get your mahrams involved. Yes, sit down, have a cup of tea, coffee, etc. Make sure somebody's there, because when somebody's there, a mahram, then you will have sharam and haya and gharat, and you will not discuss various other vulgar subjects. And you'll maintain yourself, and you'll find out all the relevant information to enable you to make the right decision. But when you're doing this one-on-one, the third one is always the shaitan. This is a promise of the Prophet ﷺ. But we just think, I'm strong, I can control myself, I won't do anything like that. It's not reality. When the Prophet ﷺ is telling us, when Allah is telling us, then you can't. Always have the third mahram there rather than the shaitan. And the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that from one of the signs towards the end of time is that religious knowledge will be taken away. Ignorance will prevail. Alcohol will be rampant and be sold like water. And there will be a prevalence of zina everywhere. Now what does everybody say? I can do whatever I want in society. Who are you to tell me what I can dress and how I can behave and who I can kiss and who I can have a relationship? So the main reasons for zina, one of the biggest reasons for zina is free mixing. And this is what our Sharia is there to control and manage. We have separation in our masjid, separation in our society, in our community, not just because, we're horrible people. No, because we want to maintain that equilibrium, that balance in society, and protect ourselves as much as protect other people. She's somebody's sister, she's somebody's daughter, she's somebody's wife perhaps. She's somebody's mother even more than that. So free mixing is the biggest reason, and we have to protect ourselves. When you're in a scenario, when you're just alone in a room, make sure the door is open. Make sure you're not always alone and say, look, and you can have a chaperone with yourself. Why do doctors have chaperones now? Because they know, it's very easy for a woman to say, he did this, this and this to me. Doctors, Point is, Islam always gives us these guidelines to maintain this balance in society, to protect you and your iman and your soul. When anything goes imbalance within your body, biologically what happens? Headache, earache, infection, etc. And it affects your entire body. when zina becomes prevalent, it infects the entire society and community, when killing as well, all of these things. So free mixings, you need to be very, very careful in your workplaces or in society or in town, etc. Be careful and maintain your honor and your dignity and protect yourself. But people don't care about going out late at night and going unchaperoned and no restrictions whatsoever. They just do whatever they want. Our rules are there, given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet ﷺ to protect us and to protect our society. Look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructs the Prophet ﷺ, and then he in turn instructs the Sahaba Ikram. Who were the Sahaba Ikram? The most noble, the most virtuous, and the most righteous people. Yes? I don't think anybody will doubt that. Sahaba there, and obviously the rest of humanity on a different level completely. There's obviously the prophets, the messengers, and then there's obviously the Sahaba Ikram. After that, everybody underneath falls in that category. So there's no doubt about the virtue and the honor and the modesty of the Sahaba Ikram. But look, the Prophet ﷺ, who is the most pure himself, he instructs the Sahaba Ikram as well, who are also extremely pure and pious in his time, that when you go to any of the mother of the believers, i.e. any of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, then you can only go to them and ask them behind a hijab. Even there, look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is protecting the honor and the maqam of the mother of the believers, all of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ. And then by default, if you do that for the Prophet's wives, then you'll also have a great standard for the rest of society and the rest of the community as well. But we very quickly say, look at this and look at this and look at that, without hijab and all of these other things. We don't have that filter. And that's so, so important to protect your eyes and to protect your ears. Do you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's many sequences in the Quran where He deliberately mentions certain things. إن السمع والبصر والفؤاد كل أولئك كان عنه مسؤولا. That your hearing, إن السمع والبصر, and your eyes as well. والفؤاد, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says your hearing, then your sight, and then your heart. You're responsible for every single one of them. Why is it Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned ear first? Because when you hear something, it causes you to go back and look or find who was that voice, what did she say? It's very seductive, it's very this, very that. And once you've heard it and then you've seen it, then it will only go into your heart and penetrate you, and that's it, you're gone. Because our hearts are already mostly corrupt with so many other sins. Here we go, and then it's fine. So this is why it's so important. Protect your ears, protect your eyes in order to protect your heart. And similarly, in this day and age, protect your fingers from what you swipe and what you click and what you connect, because this is a great fitna of our time, and we will be questioned and punished severely by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So zina comes in various forms, as I mentioned, of the hands, of the eyes, of the lips, of the tongue, of the ears, the feet, and then the private parts. And whoever does this zina, you will not get away with it. You might think that nobody has seen me, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always watching. The angels, you are forcing the angels on your right and your left, forcing them, compelling them to watch. Would you ever do this in front of your own mother or your sister or your daughter? Then why are you forcing these pure angels on your right to watch it? Why are you forcing your a'mal, which are raised every single Monday and Thursday, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and say, this servant of yours did this zina with this person, which is a zulm. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that these three things: shirk, killing, and zina. And after mentioning these things, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, وَمَنْ يَفْعَلْ ذَلِكَ يَلْقَ أَثَامًا. Whoever does any of these things, in however small capacity, small, minute, large, whatever, whoever does any of these things, وَمَنْ يَفْعَلْ ذَلِكَ يَلْقَ أَثَامًا, that they will receive athama. And athama is a valley in Jahannam dedicated and reserved solely for these people who have done these three specific acts. يُضَاعَفْ لَهُ الْعَذَابُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ وَيَخْلُدْ فِيهِ مُهَانًا. Multiplied for him will be the punishment. Multiplied. Not just a little bit. Multiplied. Why? Because Allah told you about these things specifically. You were told. You still did them. يُضَاعَفْ لَهُ الْعَذَابُ. Allah Ta'ala will multiply it several times, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. It's up to Him, depending on how bad you did all of those things. يُضَاعَفْ لَهُ الْعَذَابُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ وَيَخْلُدْ فِيهِ مُهَانًا. And you will abide therein humiliated. So the Ebaadur-Rahmaan, they always have their pure monotheistic faith, unyielding pure faith and belief and yaqeen in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They only ask Him and turn to Him. Ebaadur-Rahmaan do not cause any harm to others whatsoever, in any form whatsoever. They always take the high road and they leave their affairs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at how the Prophet ﷺ left his affairs in Taif, how he was stones were thrown at him and he was bleeding. He left it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How he was strangled in Makkah with intestines of camels and other animals. He left it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Medina and so many other places, he left it to Allah azza wa jal. Yes, people can harm you and do so much to you, but the reward for patience and the reward for keeping away from all of this is far greater and far better, because for them you will always receive divine justice from Allah azza wa jal. It's not worth athama from Allah azza wa jal. It's not worth yudha'af lahul azab, multiplied punishment from Allah azza wa jal. It's not worth any of these things. So these are the three things that Allah azza wa jal has mentioned that Ebaadur-Rahmaan do not do. And as I mentioned previously, that majority of Islam is do this. There's only 15 to 20% don't do these things. So if we keep away from the don'ts, the rest of our lives will fall into place. But these are not just minor or just irrelevant sins. These are major, substantial, clear, unequivocal sins that Allah Azza wa Jal has told us not to do. And if we want to save ourselves and be true Ebaadur-Rahmaan, we need to protect ourselves from all of these three things. Inshallah, we'll continue next week as well, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again gives glad tidings and gives hope to those people that even though we may make mistakes, and we do as human beings, whether it's hurting somebody in different capacities or we've done zina in different capacities, etc., there is still hope. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that in the next verse, إِلَّا مَنْ تَابَ وَآمَنَ وَعَمِلَ عَمَلًا صَالِحًا فَأُولَٰئِكَ يُبَدِّلُ اللَّهُ سَيِّئَاتِهِمْ حَسَنَاتٍ وَكَانَ اللَّهُ غَفُورًا رَحِيمًا. Inshallah, we'll do that next week, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.